Good morning. I am very pleased to be here. I want to talk mostly about, indeed, creationism, still crazy after all these years, talk about some of the things that are going on today. But just as a quick schematic of what I'm going to talk about in terms of the history of this movement, creation science begat intelligent design, begat, after a very important legal decision, Edwards versus Aguillard, two strains of anti-evolutionism. One strain was to promote the idea of teaching the evidence against evolution. The second strain was to promote the idea of teaching evolution and alternative theories to evolution. Now, I'm a scientist. There are a lot of scientists here. Just for the fun of it, how many scientists are here? Okay. Afterwards, could you please bring up the list of evidence against evolution for me? That's the reaction you get when you talk to scientists. What evidence against evolution? The big idea of biological evolution, that living things shared common ancestors, we're not arguing about that. We argue about the details. We don't argue about common ancestry, about descent with modification. When you ask scientists, what about the alternative theories, you get the same sort of laughter or confused look. We don't know any alternative scientific theories to common ancestry. There's lots of debate about the process of evolution, the pattern that evolution has taken, but there aren't any alternative theories, and there isn't a list of evidence against. If you go to the people who promote these ideas and you say, what are the alternative theories to evolution? Surprisingly enough, they seem to go back to what has traditionally been called intelligent design and creation science. Similarly, when you ask about the evidence against evolution, well, remarkably enough, we seem to be led back to those same arguments all over again. Now, I'm only going to very, very quickly go over creation science and intelligent design because most of you know a little bit about that anyway. If you don't, there's going to be a very good book sold after this talk where you can learn a great deal more about these topics. Creation science is very largely the product of Henry Morris and his followers who built this movement from the 1960s on, which is still going very strong. I spoke about creation science when I was last invited to the AEI meetings in '07, and so you don't have to buy my book. You can also hear about this on the very excellent videotapes that the RDF prepares from these meetings. But the thing I want you to keep in mind for our purposes today, creation science as well as intelligent design, are based upon a specific Christian doctrine called special creationism, which is an idea not just about God creating, but how God creates. And the most important component of special creationism is that God creates everything in its present form. And that's true of galaxies, that's true of the planetary system, that's true of plants and animals on Earth today, human beings. A barnacle is a barnacle, an ape is an ape, a pine tree is a pine tree, and they were all created as separately created kinds with limited genetic variability. So you can have evolution within the kind, but you can't have evolution from one kind to another. And the most common form of special creationism is that this creation event took place at one time, over 6 24-hour days. Now, I say it's usually because there are other forms of special creationism, something called progressive creationism, for example, which basically is what most of the intelligent design people are embracing, which takes the idea that God does specially create things, but he creates them sequentially through time. So from the intelligent design perspective, God specially created the motor of the bacteria flagellum. That was a special creation. Now maybe other parts of the bacteria might be able to evolve, but that's just evolution within the bacterial kind, right? Bacteria don't evolve into giraffes, right? That's the general idea. The most important thing about special creationism is the creation of things in their present form. And that is a theme that we'll see running through all the kinds of creationism. Now, the creation science movement continues to, continues to be a very large and very successful movement. By no means has this creation science movement declined at all over the last 15 or 20 years since the ascendancy of intelligent design. There are probably, with the advent of the internet, more sources of creation science now than there were 15 or 20 years ago. These are the folks who brought you flood geology. The idea that all sedimentary deposits all over the planet were the result of Noah's flood. And, for example, Grand Canyon was cut catastrophically when a huge amount of water burst through. You can see the lake there in the Colorado Plateau. A huge amount of water burst through and cut Grand Canyon catastrophically, much as Glacial Lake Missoula. Schematically, you can look at intelligent design as follows. Phenomena on the planet that exhibit specified complexity or irreducible complexity could either be explained by chance or by natural causes like natural selection. Clearly, it is absurd to assume that chance could produce something like the vertebrate eye. Clearly, they say, it is absurd to assume that something like natural selection could produce irreducible complexity, since the heart of irreducible complexity is the idea that all components of a complex system have to be there at one time. Therefore, they couldn't be put together incrementally, which is what natural selection requires. Therefore, say the intelligent design proponents, intelligent design is the explanation for this phenomenon. Now, it happens to be the case that scientists disagree that natural selection is incapable of explaining these things. I mean, the intelligent design promoters are just simply wrong when it comes to understanding natural science. Most scientists also disagree profoundly that intelligent design is a scientific idea whatsoever.
Get those nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them into bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn.